My background is social work. So I have a bachelor's, a master's, and a Ph.D. in social work. And my original thought was I was just going to work with older adults and their families, to help them have better lives. And I did that. I did some of that early on. And about 13 years, I worked at university, both teaching social work graduate students and doing training around North Carolina on issues related both to aging and on the other end to young families. At that point, I got an opportunity to do speaking and to work for a company that offers a designation for business people around aging. It was like an intro to aging class. One of the big banks in Canada brought that internal and put all their advisors and their vice presidents through it. And they got to know me that way because I taught several hours in this 3-day program. And we developed all sorts of training workshop for the clients around life transitions. How do they get through a life transition? And, I say that's the stages, changes, and events we go through in our life. I took from my early work a lot of the love of helping families, because I have we live in family, whatever we call family. It could be family of choice. It could be our biological family, whatever it is. But how do we strengthen families as they go through these transitions and help them have a better time? Because in key transitions like caregiving and when the estate is settled, these are two key points. Families often blow up. And I believe it's mainly preventable if people only have what I call essential conversations and learn how to work together better. Empathy is the first word that comes to my mind. And I say, when we think about empathy, I think we all have some idea of what that means, but about stepping into other people's shoes. I say empathy is really about saying to someone, I see you, I hear you, I understand you, and conveying that. And a lot of people feel empathy, but struggle conveying it. Yeah. So that became something I took from my early work and it's a lot of what I do with advisors now, helping them learn how to convey empathy, not just feel it for their clients. I think I've always been pretty entrepreneurial. So in the time I was doing social work, a lot of times I also had a little side gig doing sales in something. This is a very weird combination, right? So I always felt a little, it's like, okay, who am I? Am I the social worker or the salesperson? I felt a little out of step with people who just sort of seemed to know this was their path and they got a job. So from the time I became a solopreneur, I had no net, right? Those of us who do these things often don't have a net. And I think you have to have a certain makeup to do this. And when we talk about being an entrepreneur, we often don't have external security. So we have to find that somewhere in ourselves that we're okay. And I think I just always felt that if everything fell apart, I could always go get a job. I always joke, one of the things I think I would have done if I had a job was I might have been a guidance counselor like my dad. And what I joke is I would have been a guidance counselor, but then I would have thought I could run the department. So I would have then gone and become the head of the department. And then I would have thought that there are a lot of things in this school that need fixing. And next thing you know, I would have tried to move on. So, you have to know who you are as an entrepreneur. So I think I took the risk just because inherently I felt secure enough I could operate with plan B. As I was doing the speaking engagements for clients, what I realized was the advisors needed help in having conversations about these topics. So I developed some workshops for the advisors that were quite successful. But what they would say to me after the workshop is, okay, so how do I say that to my client? And I realized they needed coaching around the conversations and how to do it. So I started our first product, which is Trusted Advisor of Choice. And Trusted Advisor of Choice is for advisors to, we call it a practice elevation program instead of a training program, because it's really about working with advisors who want to take their practice to the next level. And
Mm-hmm.
it's framed around life transitions. So again, the stages, changes, and events that people go through. And it's a modularized program with videos on the topics such as retirement, estate planning, caregiving, how to improve your practice with women, how to work with older adults, referrals, those kind of things. And in each module, besides the videos, we have some client-facing tools, we have some advisor resources, and for each module, there is coaching available. We launched Trusted Advisor Choice to fill the gap, to meet the need of how do you deepen your relationships with clients by better understanding their life and tying life and money together. Life and money go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
And what we teach in that program for the advisors is how to go where the client is, which is on the practical, emotional, and family aspects of their life, express empathy, and then segue back to the business conversation. We've actually trademarked this process now because it's been so successful. And it's called Lyra, and it's about going to the client, but coming back. And what's great about it is then the advisor always feels in control of the conversation because they know they can segue back and forth between the life conversation and the money conversation,
Yeah.
which is key. So that was the big need we were filling with that,
Mm.
which was, how do you deepen your relationships with clients by understanding them better, expressing empathy better, and tying that to the business. We developed Life Map, and that's for clients, but the only place they can get it is from their advisor. Really robust resources for clients on these transitions. And again, it's about strengthening the advisor-client relationship, because what we found with Trusted Advisor of Choice is advisors would say, great, I'm comfortable having these conversations, and now clients are sharing things about their life, and I don't have any resources for them on the life side. I only have resources on the financial side. And so it's like opening a wound without a bandage.
Mm.
So we created this program that has, again, robust resources for clients from 4 professionals who are top in their fields. And the only way they can get it is from the advisor. So it, again, deepens that relationship. You have to go into these conversations with curiosity, and you have to listen at what I call level 3, which
Mm.
is listening for what's not being said. So, level 1 is listening to reply. And we think we don't do it. We all do it. And it's actually an occupational hazard because we want to add value. So we're listening to add value. And then level 2 is listening to the content, which obviously is better. You have to be present, do all that. But level 3 is about going somewhere beyond that. And it's about listening to what's not being said, to what the person feels about what they're sharing with you. Advisors often say, tell me about your family.
Mm.
And so instead, I ask them to say something to the effect of, tell me about the people that you want to take care of when we look at financial planning or estate planning. Now, you may say, well, what's the difference? Well, the difference is they may have people who are not in their immediate family who they're taking care of that you'll never know about unless you say something. They may have a niece, they may have somebody outside the family. And what you want to do by asking these kind of questions is create context. The person knows exactly what you're looking for when you ask a question like that. Tell me about your family is, what do you want to know about? Asking questions with context is a key thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And with advisors, I try to get them, instead of saying, so what are you going to do in your retirement? Asking specific things like, so what are the 3 most important things to you that you're going to do in your retirement?
Mm.
And I had one advisor tell me he shifted to that question, and one of his clients said, wow, I've not thought about that. I've got 2 things I've been thinking about. We're going to travel, and this client was a big golfer. I'm going to golf. But when you ask me about the third, I realize that my wife and I need to have different conversations. And those two things aren't going to be enough for me to do. And they ended up getting to this conversation about how so many people struggle in retirement because they don't have purpose. And the client came back and said that question for him was a game changer. So it seems like such a little thing, but specificity in questions and creating context makes a huge difference. I always want to have a huge impact. I'm here at this time in the world at this time to do what I can to make people's lives easier and to help people have better quality of lives and more peace of mind. So that's the impetus for what drives everything I do. We have two offerings right now: the trusted advisor of choice for the advisors, life map for the client. And the goal there again is to help clients, really, all of it is to help clients have better quality of life as they go through transitions. So our goal is to work with advisors all over North America and beyond to help them have, again, practices that are, the other word I like to use is more fun. It's more fun to do business this way than it is to not really know your clients. So, help advisors have more effective businesses and help their clients get through life more easily. That's our vision. And we want to take it, as big as we can to do that. We all are struggling with the same things. It doesn't matter what our income level, I mean, if I ever thought money solved problems, I let that belief go when I started working with ultra high net worth clients. More money, more problems. Sometimes if you haven't done the work about yourself and your family and you're not grounded. So those things that we do to ground ourselves, to learn, to grow, the things we do to cement things in our families, they matter.
Yeah.
And they matter no matter what income level you're at. I get to work with business owners sometimes, and it's like having a baby that you're thinking, how do I pass this baby to someone else? And one of the issue with business owners that surprised me was they often give absolutely no thought to this, and they say, I'm just going to work forever. And the problem with that is, at some point, they're not going to be able to work in that business, either because something hits them now or because they pass on and they have to, and a lot of people haven't done very good planning. And I think that's another takeaway I had is people don't do very good life planning for that last third of their life. We do it well for much better earlier than the last third. So that's one of my real passions, is helping people do that planning so they have choice, control, and independence and have the best quality of life possible. So that was a huge thing when I started working. Again, doesn't matter what income level you're at. People often don't think about those things.
If you enjoy this podcast, please make sure to subscribe. And to stay updated on everything that the Action Catalyst is up to, make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Action Catalyst Podcast and on Twitter at Catalyst_Action. And thanks for listening.